This is Yudislaidy Fernandez reporting for Miami Today. For this week's profile, we sat down with Noriega. He's the Chief Executive Officer of the Miami Parking Authority, which manages about 30,000 parking spaces here in the city of Miami. That includes parking garages, lots, and metered parking. Mr. Noriega has about 11 years heading the Miami Parking Authority, during which time he's doubled its revenues and number of facilities, taking the Miami Parking Authority to the next level. Because of its financial health, the Miami Parking Authority could be lending a hand to the city of Miami, which is struggling financially. The plan would be for the Miami Parking Authority to bond out its future parking revenues to help replenish the city's dwindling reserves. Some of that capital could go towards operations and needed repairs at the Gusman Theater, which, as we know, is in jeopardy of closing because the city is eliminating its subsidy because of its own financial struggles. Mr. Noriega says part of that capital infusion possibly going to the Gusman Theater, coupled with private donations and corporate sponsorships, could help save the historic downtown cultural venue. Here's what Mr. Noriega had to share about the future plans for the Miami Parking Authority.
We were created by state statute, and in the 60s we were incorporated into the city charter. And that's a very interesting idea, a concept, because what it really did was, by putting us into the charter, it gave us some protection. I think the city leaders at the time realized what a tremendous asset parking was to a municipality, and said, look, you know, and I'm interpreting this at this point, but I got to think that they said, you know, we want to protect it as much as possible. By putting it into the charter, it made any future changes to the parking operation really solely in the hands of the voters. We own and operate 5, and then we also manage 5 more for the Public Health Trust. So we have 10 garages under management or ownership entirely, and then we have roughly about 11,000 on-street spaces. Our total space count, including garages, parking lots, and on-street, is roughly 30,000 spaces. Well, the city certainly has in the last 2 years faced a real uphill battle in terms of balancing the budget, and it's in part obviously because of you know, the real estate tax revenues have gone down significantly because of the value adjustment. So they came to us and said, look, we need to, I think we need your help specifically with regards, the primary sort of focus of those revenues would be the reserve, or to replenish the reserve. But they came to us and said, look, we want to look at the option of pledging future parking revenues. It's a concept they call monetization, which is basically just you're borrowing against future revenues, and use some of those proceeds to replenish the reserve. And then also, in turn, I think there's some ideas to use a small piece of it to pay off a little bit of debt, and then I've suggested that we use some of that money to help Gusman in terms of the repairs that are required for Gusman. And so, you know, our role is critical